This is the opening slice of a story called Rana Fagrina, which is the Latin name of the frog that you might or might not have discussed in high school, depending on if you were a conscientious objector or not. Angeline Yost keeps a switchblade in her sock. Angeline Yost has B.O. Angeline Yost did it in her parents' bed, and a week later they had crabs so bad they were in their armpits. The gospel of Angeline Yost is graven into desks with house keys and the blood of Bix. It is written in the glances of girls, low arcs of knowing that span the hallways and ping off the metal rockers. Angeline Yost walks with her books soldered to her chest. Angeline Yost bites her nails until a quarter moon of roseate nail bed rises at the top of each finger. When she laughs, her eyes narrow. The laugh is bitter and quick in her throat. Angeline Yost once stuck a hot dog up inside herself and couldn't get it out. And her parents had to drive her to the hospital. Angeline Yost eats lunch with two older girls, Deirdre, who has a forehead broad as a man's, and a girl whose brother Keith went to jail for almost killing a guy. Deirdre and the other girl are blonde, the way Angeline is blonde, with ribbons of brown rattling along their side parts. They are juniors. They could get Keith to fuck you up. No one calls them a slut. In the beginning is the word, and there is no making it go away. Leah's finger polishes the dark scars in her desk, the jagged S, the glottal lut. In Leah's mind, the name Angeline is gleaming and round. It is the razor and the apple both. When she gets tired of reading her desk, she tries reading Mr. Jabor's t-shirt backwards, searching for hidden meaning. Forwards it says, I'd rather be writing my novel in inky typewriter type. Mr. Jabor's hair stands straight up, and he has earnest knees, perpetually bent. Mr. Jabor is the only teacher Leah knows who comes to work in sneakers. She gets a good look at them because she sits in the second row and Mr. Jabor reads poetry standing on his desk. The kids are supposed to call him Rick. Walt is not just another dead poet, ladies and gentlemen, Rick says. A cigarette bobs and jabs in the corner of his mouth. The freshman English class stares at him, waiting for him to light up. Sometimes he does.
Speak up!
Thanks. Listen to this, says Rick. This is so good, it'll make you want to pee in your pants. Leah considers the option. In 3.5 periods, she will have to carve something far more elemental than a word into the thoracic abdominal cavity of Rana Fagrina, a creature as tender and green as a ginkgo leaf. Everyone will look at her because she got a bad lab partner, a partner who has been held back and has B.O. And this will somehow appear to be Leah's fault. And she will have to mouth breathe for the entire 55 minutes. The atmosphere is not a perfume, says Rick. Shooting his knees, shooting off little sparks with each bounce. It has no taste of the distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I am in love with it. Rick's sneakers squeak on his desk and Leah looks away. She hates Rick's sneakers for being so excitable and sympathetic, and she hates the name Walt. Rick has been reading poetry to them all semester. Coleridge, who was an opium addict, and John Donne, whose son died, on the one who peed in his pants over a Grecian urn, Keats. No matter what Rick says, Leah cannot name one thing that poetry heals. For example, poetry does not heal adenocarcinoma of the lung. Leah's father smells like formaldehyde and he's still alive, and that is a mystery not even Walt can explain. She writes on the inside cover of her notebook, Rana Levinson, Leah Fagrina. Rana Leah Fagrina. I will go to the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked, says Rick. I am mad for it to be in contact with me. He grips his book with both hands like a preacher. This man is talking about rejoicing in the physical universe, he says. Are you listening? Because some of you really need to hear this. My respiration and inspiration. The beating of my heart, the passing of blood and air through my lungs. It is 30 seconds to 10:35. The instant his shoulders deflate, Backpacks slam onto desks, fingers fly over clasps. Wait, yells Rick, give me one thing you learned from Walt, one thing. Get naked in the woods, says Andy Sack. Leah doesn't turn around, because Andy Saccalarius is too lovely to look at directly. Just as when Leah's father opens his eyes anymore in his metal bed and looks directly at his daughter, she has to study a crease in the sheet. The crease floats over his chest like the ghost of his star. Leah knows that Andy Sack's mouth is slightly open, like a cup. She knows that the curvature of his skull is elegant in the way that mathematicians use the word. Yeah, says Rick, you're close. Relish the natural world and remember that you are a part of it. Kingdom, Animalia. Subkingdom, Metazoa. Section, Deuterostomia. Phylum, Chordata. Subphylum, Vertebrata. These are the places where Leah seeks beauty, in the classification of living things, in books arranged by height, in closets with hangers precisely 1 1/2 inches apart, in clothing zoned by color. She seeks purity in the blamelessness of a clean swept desk. She seeks forgiveness in each new sheet of loose leaf paper, class, amphibia, order, anurum, biological name Rana of the long green hands. They've had 3 days to memorize the exact position of the frog in the biological universe. Leah was born with the words in her bones. She took 10 minutes. Remember the finger prick? Says Mr. Ladd. If you had trouble with the finger prick, raise your hand. The arms of girls shoot into the air. A few boys who had trouble with the finger prick start shoving. Or maybe it's the word that gets them going. Not finger, the other one. Angeline Yost doesn't raise her hand. She's ransacked the dissection pit and is stroking the scalpel down the inside of her arm, dragging it lightly so no thread of blood unrolls behind it. Leah takes a small step back. Those of you with hands aloft, says Mr. Ladd, strolling among the lab tables, may have a little trouble with today's dissection. For this subpopulation, I have one piece of advice. He gathers the moment. Get over it. Leah watches the point of the scalpel whisper across Angeline's wrist. Get over it, people, says Mr. Ladd. Be glad the frogs are dead. In my day, we kissed our frogs. He holds an invisible needle high in the air and stirs. Rana Fagrina is larger than Leah expected. He is nearly the size of her hand, with limbs extended in full leap. Did he die this way, or did they flatten him under a book? Most of his green is drained away. Chlorophyll, Leah thinks stupidly, as Mr. Lack strolls down her aisle. And any girl who utters the words, ew, it's so gross, loses 10 points, says Mr. Lack. He wheels around, guided by sonar. Boys lose 25, he snaps. And Miss Yost, please desist from the dissection of your own hand. Angeline lowers the scalpel until it is the nearest inch above the lab table. Then she drops it. It sounds like a tiny piece of glass breaking. Miss Yost joins us for the second year, says Mr. Ladd. The top of Leah's head bursts into flame. She takes another step back. Angeline spreads her fingers, revealing a small red smear in the vicinity of her lifeline. Open your kit, says Mr. Ladd. Pin the frog, and decide which among you shall make the first cut. Leah is now standing 4 feet from her partner. It won't do. She steps closer. Rana Fagrina, on his back on the dissection tray, stares up at her through the blind eye of his belly. I'll pin if you cut, says Leah. I cut last year, says Angela. I'll stop there. Thank you so much.